So I promised to make a video about a motivation spell, but unfortunately I recorded the whole thing and TikTok ended up crashing on me and I lost everything. So we're just gonna go over it again. So real quick, I always want to state that witchcraft does not have to be perfect. It is not something that is measured in how perfect it is. As you can see, my spell area is kind of messy because I have been working on things. I will clean it, but again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be aesthetic. It's all about the intention and what you want to accomplish. So today we're going to go over motivation. Now, of course, I already have my incense set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to light it and I'm going to cleanse my area before I begin. After you cleanse your area, it's not a bad idea to maybe practice some protection if you don't want to do it right then. At least do it before you begin your spell. So let's go ahead and go over the ingredients. So one thing that's not listed here is the coffee, which I'm going to go get, but I forgot to bring it to my station, but that's for focus and energy. We're going to use a couple different things that are going to sound a little bit funny because they are spices and stuff, so ignore my McCormick like bottles because you got to work with what you got. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working with oregano, which is a stimulant for cognitive function, just to get us focused on the tasks that we want to accomplish. We're going to work with rosemary, which will increase our concentration. And I only have like one sad little thing of basil right here that I grew, and basil is to help treat depression and chronic fatigue. Oftentimes when we feel unmotivated, it could be due to seasonal depression, it could be due to chronic depression, anxiety, just being exhausted in our day-to-day lives. So basil will really help with that. We are going to use the coffee, like I said, for focus and energy. And then we're going to be using a yellow candle. Now, color association is something that I do work with, and we're going to be using the yellow candle because it's associated with joy and focus. So it's kind of like one of those dual things where we're treating the depression, the things that are making us feel unmotivated, but also we are trying to focus on what we want to do. We, of course, are going to use our salt in order to create a ring of protection around our spell. In order to protect our spell, we're going to use cinnamon, which is to enhance the intent of our spell. You can use ground cinnamon or you can just use regular cinnamon. I don't have any cinnamon sticks, so I'm using ground cinnamon. And then we're actually going to work with some crystals. So we're going to do some clear quartz, which is just one of those general crystals that will remove negativity, but also it's just used to kind of enhance a spell. And then we're going to use amethyst, which usually is associated with taking action. Again, this is supposed to like move us forward, get us focused on a task, but also it's another one of those general crystals that you can use in order to kind of move forward, and it's supposed to increase the intention here. Now with this, you don't have to use this in the form of candle magic. As you've seen, a lot of these are spices, which means if you're a kitchen witch, you can make a tomato sauce using oregano, basil, rosemary. You can create a chicken dish or something like that using these spices. Same with the cinnamon. You can add the cinnamon to your coffee. There's two of your ingredients right there in order to make like a special brew, which you can then stir with some intention, add some honey. There's multiple different things that you can do with this. Also, if you prefer spell jars, you can actually just create spell jars. I've put most of the ingredients in here. We've got some amethyst, we've got basil, we've got our rosemary, salt and cinnamon. I'll add the coffee in here. But really, you can just add these things and then seal it with some yellow wax. And you can then take it to your work, put it in your work locker, or kind of just place it wherever you're having the most trouble. A lot of these you can also put in like a mesh tea ball, and then you can like place them in a bath. So you can create a tea with them, you can create foods with them, you can put them in a spell jar, or you can use candle magic like I'm doing here. If you want to, you can do what we did before. You can even add the bay leaf. So what I'm going to do step by step is first we're going to cleanse the station. I'm going to dress the candle in the ingredients, and then we're just going to go from there. I did forget to add that in order to dress your candle, you're going to need a oil. I'm using the lavender oil that I made. I do prefer to keep the lavender in there for a bit. I just use it very quickly since it's a small bottle. And you're going to want gloves or something because this process does get a little messy, so just be aware of that. But what you're going to do is you're going to put the oil on your candle, and then you're going to put on the herbs that you want to dress the candle with. So I would say use gloves. Now that we have the candle all dressed and ready to go with our circle of salt for protection, now would be the time where you light it, and at this point you can say your incantations or anything that really helps to set your intention for motivation. The amount of time that you meditate doesn't necessarily matter, but it's all about how you feel. Like, do you feel like the spell has been set? Do you feel like your intention is there? Do you feel like this is working? So meditate until you start to feel that your intention is there, that the universe has gotten your message. And again, the method's kind of just all up to you. So we have our coffee there for our focus and energy. We have our protective circle of salt. We have our crystals on the plate. They don't have to be on the plate. It's just how you want to do stuff. With our spell jar, I went ahead and topped it off with the coffee. And then I'll seal that with yellow wax. And like I said, you could add this to cooking. You could add this to anything. But like I said, the important part is the meditation and setting the intention. I like to say an incantation or a mantra so that I can kind of get into a trance-like state, but it's all about what works for you. Everybody's going to practice their craft differently, so it's all about whatever you feels work. So I hope that this helped, and that's your basic meditation spell. You can of course improve upon this. You can change some ingredients, add some things that you like. There are many different herbs that are great for motivation. On top of that, if you do deity work or spirit work, there's tons of deities that would be great for motivation depending on what your lack of motivation comes from. Lady Lilith over here, she actually helps with empowerment, especially towards women, but she does work with men as well. And she's very heavy-handed when it comes to overcoming people who have wronged you and overcoming traumas. Lady Hecate over here, she also focuses on shadow work and empowerment and just being your higher and better self. But I find that she's more of a slow burn, and she's more about taking the small steps in order to do these things. So it really just depends on what you're looking for. President Marbus, as I said before, he's about healing diseases, even though he is also the causer of plagues. And so if your motivation or lack thereof is caused by a sickness or an illness, he can really help in that regards. And there's many deities out there that help with motivation, that help with shadow work, that help with overcoming sickness and illness, confidence issues, and many different things. So just research what really works for you. But anyways, that's just my take on a motivation spell. And like I said, I really hope it helps.